Drug abuse in Nova Scotia is out with a number of recommendations tonight. These are prompted by a number of deaths in the Annapolis Valley. And those who've been hoping for some action here say these recommendations are good if they're acted on. Here's CTV's Jacqueline Foster.
We can do is what we're doing.
Amy Graves has been pushing for change ever since her brother Josh died in March. Her family believes the 21-year-old died in his sleep after taking the prescription drug Dilaudid at a party.
I think the recommendations are great, but is she going to implement them? I see in brackets under every one that costs money, it says additional funding needed.
The province has released 9 recommendations from a working group looking at prescription drug overdoses. They focus on surveillance, education, and treatment. Nova Scotia's Liberal health critic says it finally confirms there's a problem, but lacks some detail.
Disappointed around the fact of no timelines and still some areas, especially treatment, that are short on detail.
But John Campbell from Annapolis Valley Health says increasing access to treatment is included, and his health authority is already addressing methadone maintenance.
We have dedicated one of our staff now to looking at program development in relation to that. We have begun to engage physicians.
The police chief here in Kentville first raised his concerns about the problem with prescription drug-related deaths more than a year ago. Frustrated and feeling like no one was listening, he went public with those concerns earlier this year and eventually became part of the working group that came up with these recommendations. And Chief Mark Mander is confident things are moving in the right direction.
The players that were at the table were the players that needed to be at the table and have some open and frank discussions about what needs to change within the province in order to start addressing the issues that I had identified a year ago.
Amy Graves will be watching closely to make sure the recommendations are implemented.
No matter how many ways I cut it, no matter how many times I go through my head, what could I have done that night, it's not going to change. But there's so many more people that are still living that we can save.
The health department says some recommendations are already underway. A decision on the rest will be made this fall. There's no word on how much that could cost. Jacqueline Foster, CTV News, Kentville, Nova Scotia.
We've got a warning now.